hypertension. Is there something in place to catch them as they come back to school, or?
No, it is not only teachers. There are learners that will be coming with underlying issues. There are teachers who will be coming with underlying issues. Those ones must be identified and given the necessary attention and protection. The sole intention in putting in the checklist is to safeguard the safety of everyone, including workers, teachers, and learners who will have underlying conditions that are dangerous when it comes to infection by COVID-19. So all those measures will be contextualized in the guidelines once teachers resume on Monday. Mainly, teachers are resuming early enough so that they can deal with all the challenges, including workers who have got underlying issues. If they need to be away, then they do not need to be compelled to be in schools. If they need to be in school, they need to be given extra protection.
Thank you. And we're also joined by Mr. Mayo, who is the chairperson of the National Parents Association. Karibu sana to the show. I have a question for you. You know, as parents, we are critical stakeholders in how schools are managed and, how schools are run. And we've heard about this 43-page document that has been given to schools. And, there's all these guidelines flying around. What is the responsibility of parents in seeking accountability from schools to ensure that these guidelines are implemented to the letter?
Thank you so much for having me. I think our obligation as parents of this country is to prepare our children and admit them in school. And after admission, you'll always take your child to school. So under the Basic Education Act, we know that education in Kenya is free and compulsory. And as a parent, we are aware of our obligation. And we closed school because of the COVID-19. Every parent was worried about the safety of our children. And when His Excellency the President closed down all the schools, we were in support. Now that teachers are going to school on Monday, I would also ask our peer members in school level to prepare themselves, and on Tuesday or Wednesday, have some meetings to know whether there's water, there's running water in school, there's washing points, spacing, and all the protocols that is needed by the Minister of Health. As a parent, our worry actually is not preparing our children to school, because that is our obligation. Our worry is the behavior of the virus. Once we are told by the World Health Organization or the Minister of Health that our children are safe, all the protocols are in place, we are ready to present our children to school. What I will only urge my peer member in school is we should actually be accountable to what's happening in school. There is capitation from government, that is 1,400 in primary, 22,224 in high school. And that is what we might request the government as a stimulus package for the parents, because we've been affected as well. Some of us have lost jobs. Some of parents have lost businesses, and they don't have enough now. So if we have a stimulus package... And,
Mr. Mayo, let me ask, because you're talking about the stimulus package, and we've had some of the estimates that have been thrown around that it's going to cost upwards of R1,000,000 shillings per school to put some of these regulations and things in place. Who is going to bear that cost? Are you scared that that cost will be passed on to parents by schools?
Not really. Education is free in Kenya, and if anything will be asked for parents, that will be a levy, and levy is illegal.
Okay.
So I want to tell my fellow parents that there's no extra money we are going to pay to school other than the fees guideline that is required, and it is there for us.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayo.
We have
and of
two
course,
scenarios
remember,
here.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayo. And of course, remember, the question of the day today is, back to school, are we ready? Are you confident that sending your child to school, they are going to be in a safe environment, that enough of the protocols and, the guidelines have been followed to the T by the schools? Are you confident that your child will be safe? You can talk to us using the hashtag TheLoopK24. And of course, the WhatsApp number is on the line right now. Send us a video, send us a message, and we'll sample some of your thoughts and opinions as the show goes along.
And then, Mr. Sossion, I have a question. For some families, the risk of children moving in and out of school and possibly bringing home infection for older parents or grandparents who might have underlying conditions might just be too great. Will the curriculum be made available to parents or families who opt for homeschooling? Is that one of the options we are looking at?
Yeah, currently, I don't think Kenya is ready for homeschooling at the moment, and that would not be really an option because our constitution is very clear. Every child has a right to education and every child must attend school. And I wish to hasten and state here that our children are safer in school than at home. What children have been undergoing over the last 7 months is very, very unfortunate. And therefore, we cannot create loophole of options that will see truancy. And it will be difficult to prove that some learners are enjoying homeschooling. And what is important here is to ensure that learners are safe in schools and the infection rates infections are totally contained.
Right.
Every school from the guidelines, those who have read the guidelines, will be linked to a healthcare facility. And there will be thermoguns to check every learner and all teachers who will be attending school on daily basis. And the moment you detect any signs of any illness with any child, then they must be instantly and quickly referred to a healthcare facility. So there will be a lot of healthcare caring, even that teaching in schools. And that is why teachers will have to be prepared. We must accept for this 7 months that we've lived with the disease, we've understood it. The data has come out very clearly. The curve is flattening. The positivity rate is below 5%. We can get our children back to school. It is what many countries are doing. In case of any spike, we should be prepared. A spike within a community, within a region, or even nationally. Everything that will be done, because a pronouncement to reopen schools has not been made. It has not been made, and it shall be made. And once made, all programs in schools will be monitored very closely by the health authorities. And decisions taken in case of any spike or in case of any breakout, we expect at least, we expect breakouts of such diseases. That is anticipated as a very serious society. This disease is here with us. It is not eliminated completely. There is no vaccine yet, but our children cannot stay home. They are safer in school because the virus is not resident in school. It's everywhere. It's in communities. Sure. And schools are part of communities. Now that the infection rate has gone down, it's time we get back to normalcy. We've lost about 23 weeks. We got to catch up again, and we got to ensure that children don't get to the situation of repeating. Teachers will have to work extra harder within the school context to ensure that the syllabuses are covered. But the checklist of the World Health Organization will be implemented within the context of every school, within the ability of every school. And at this point, we are urging the Ministry of Education, before learners resume, it should wire capitation funds to school, because mostly part of capitation funds will be used to procure certain services to implement the World Health Organization protocol. That would be the most important thing to do before schools resume. The teachers will meaningfully implement the measures that they can implement. Those which they can't. Of course, we cannot create additional classrooms, but then teachers will have to, schools will have to be innovative to create ways of ensuring that they implement social distances as much as possible. We have seen in Europe and in the global north that even classes are shifting to the open in the basketball fields, in the football fields, and in other areas. So
is that one of the things,
calls for
Mr. Sossion?
That is why the guidelines is the master dictionary of managing the programs and care of learners in schools.
Mr. Sossion,
events like
you mentioned,
games,
Mr. Sossion,
group activities like music, those ones are prohibited.
Mr. Sossion, you mentioned that children are safer in school than they are at home, and to support your point, we've seen that teen pregnancies have gone up, child marriage has gone up, children have been sent off to work. Is there a plan in place to repatriate these children back into school when we do reopen?
And that is why we are telling we are telling the country, the frontline officers of resumption of learning will be teachers, and teachers will have to deliver their teaching and pedagogy in a different way, understanding that these learners have been subjected to different circumstances, and we have seen very many cases of gender-related violence, and in fact, this has been the most disturbing to us as teachers, that many cases, and we've seen through the Gender Recovery Center, about 1,149 cases of gender-related violence inflicted on learners, inflicted on schoolgirls and schoolboys, with 77 of them returning pregnant, 17 of them are infected with HIV, and they fear reporting such related cases. They have witnessed conflicts at home, parent fighting, and many untold sufferings. And that is why we've come to a common agreement, doing an analysis within our network as teachers across the continent and the globe. We've agreed the safest place for learners is schools. And we should be prepared to offer a lot of psychosocial support to learners who are already affected. In fact, even girls who are pregnant, we need to receive them and reassure them and encourage them to continue with learning in school. They're coming back with a lot of challenges after a long break of 7 months. It will also take time to reacclimatize the learners and to bring them back on track to the work that they did, to do revision work, and also to repackage them to prepare for more intensive crash program to recover the lost time. So teachers definitely will be doing a lot, and teachers will require a lot of support from the authorities, from the employers, and from the school boards of management and from communities.
Yes,
that will be required to do a lot.
That is definitely
more health caring and more psychosocial support, and also doing extra teaching and engaging in what we call catering for individual differences and trying to understand the challenges of each and every learner and supporting some of the learners whose parents may be sick, and even supporting the learners who may be infected in the course of teaching and learning.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Sossion.
It's not going to be easy.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Sossion.
Working in these particular circumstance.
Yes, Mr. Sossion, thank you.
We are urging the parents, the public, and the media to support this process of bringing back the learners to school, because we need all the learners back in school, and we need them safe, and we need teachers to be fully supported while being the frontline officers in the resumptions of learning. We have seen education being thrown into the limbo.
Yes, Mr. Sossion, thank you so much for that.
I think in some countries.
You've raised some really interesting points there, Mr. Sossion, and we'll be happy, of course, to pick those up with you. And of course, remember that today's question we are asking, back to school, are we ready? And you've heard what our panelists here are saying, some of the things that are being discussed. And does that give you confidence that if you send your child to school next week, or whenever schools are open, that you are confident they will be safe and that enough has been done to ensure a safe learning environment for learners, for our little ones, for our kids? Let us know using the hashtag #TheLoopK24. And of course, you can also talk to us via the WhatsApp number, which is on the screen right now. Okay, let's pick some feedback and see what you're saying about this issue. All right, my opinion, the government could provide the parents with a way of providing first to their families, that is open the clubs, bars, and all the restaurants that operate 24 hours before moving down to the children. You know, somebody said something interesting, Valentine, that that it looks like children are more responsible than people who goes to bars.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah, because if you're opening schools first before you open bars,
okay,
it means you're finding children are more responsible. I'm a teacher, but I feel January would have been the best to reopen. All the same, I'm in the final stages of planning to travel to my workstation. That's a teacher there.
Yes, as a teacher.
Giving his feedback. And of course, remember, the WhatsApp number is on the line, on the screen rather right now, and we'd like to hear your thoughts and opinions. I'm a teacher and I will go to school that Monday, but my children never. They will get out of the compound and I can't risk that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting point from a teacher, yes.
Yeah. Hello, K24. I'm Mr. Nyongesa, a teacher by profession and also a parent. Reasonably, nobody is ready for school. How will we facilitate school programs while being broke? This is a joke, seriously.
Interesting from Mr. Nyongesa. I'm hearing some very interesting points from our panelists. I liked what Mr. Mayo said about parents should not be, this burden should not be passed on to parents. I really like that he said that. Radhika, when we come back, I have questions for you about how you're going to integrate senior learning, at-home learning, which Mr. Sossion has said is definitely out of the question for curriculum-based learners. No, competency-based learners. Yes. So we'll be back in just a few minutes. Our question is, back to school, are we ready? We're looking forward to hearing from you. Our WhatsApp number is on your screen as we speak. Back to school, are we ready? Would you actually send your child to school next month? Would you do it?
Yeah, because we've,
it's just crazy, but
Ati?
it's okay if I said the truth of the matter.
Say the truth.
Like what Sossion said about Ministry of Health guys coming to give us compliance certificates.
Okay.
That is what we're really worried about, because now that's another avenue for people to make
corruption.
Exactly, and everybody, we're putting that document, we are trying to make sure everything is fine. And we will put every single thing in place. See, you know, I'm talking about international schools, private schools. But there is this other, you know, to get compliance certificates from these ministries. That's another thing.
Oh, is that your frustration?
Big one.
Yeah.
Valentine.
So
it's
this
not
kitty,
be,
kitty that they're putting aside.
It's not for us.
It's not for
public
schools. It's for public.
Public schools.
But is it also for
where
for CBC
President
private?
said that there's a 7 billion loan that they're going to give without interest, whatever. But I called ministry like 4 times, and every time I was told, oh, the criteria has not yet been decided, so I can't apply.
Oh, you can't apply.
Yeah.
I'm an entrepreneur. I have no money sitting anywhere.
Yeah.
This is what I work with. Yeah, it's an international school. I keep standards, but it's not.
Wakikataa namna hiyo, it is going to be difficult to recover education. Yes. Na unajua, this disease will not go away. Eh? Ile nani? Lega mangcha banga? Are you sure?
100. Ninaboro.
Then what happened? Komana banagane?
Yes. Probably. Then the mama jamoni kya poli kirche ga kagela subu yo bugiki no bugiki. Aga na ngena. And then come and go home for 2 weeks. I don't know if you remember.
Guru le nage results chagu. Ogi gaigo ni Nairobi West.
Nairobi Hospital.
Kina me nana.
Monge barikiga sarikiba macheo.
Eh?
Barikiga sarikiba macheo. That is why my results bogo. Kwa kimeche kwa HKV man ko Mungu positive. That's why my results are Nairobi West. It is done. Imeisha?
Well, ending at 10.
Sijui kama nikikuamia watanipata.
Yeah, watakupata tu. We'll be back in a minute.
In a minute?
Yes.
Wama ibaru enano wile positive. Oh.
Take it?
Daji umwa?
Ki positive ni?
Ogita iwe test then?
Of course 3 times.
Going negative?
Negative too.
What's up, quiet?
That is why Kiasha, akwaje kwa Nairobi West the following day. Kawasra Nairobi Hospital. Kile nji positive. Kwa Nairobi West the following day kile negative.
Si interview imekwisha.
Bado dakika 10.
Au linja na kitu kiune matimochi anyone.
Acha mwao.
Just budalis.
Eh.
Kulo minisha mama ni mmoja. Kule matua waenye kila lemon every morning. Tumagia kwa nangirchiri. Ere sabe chugia kwa male.
Kimwa ile itinya.
Kala amegerchi kikimeje botume. Kala amegerchi kikimeje botume.
So gini wendi ka kuiga testanin.
And for some reason kuma ngibeka that weekend kuma ngibeka kile. I have free Monday. So we say and Tuesday we say. Okay, test.
Ko negative. Monday.
Kiki besi mkiobindi nyako na Tuesday. Kitu Nairobi na Sunday. Ngo chuma chewa abika. Good Monday or Tuesday. Como ndio siku yake kazi. Ile negative. Como ndio Wednesday ya maana como ndio siku on Friday ile positive. Como ndio bunda weekend. Kimbe nyo kutrabini. Monday ya wewe. Kile mama ile negative. Angemalizana na sisi ndio wafanye hiyo sasa. Sasa kila mtu anakuwa so this is the prime time for them.
Mzazi akubli. Takusikia. Narudi hapo kidogo.
Uko sure anarudi?